Just before we get started on today's video, in my hand I have tickets to Mo Party. So I'm giving away 2 passes to Mo Party this year. It's in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It's from September 16th through the 18th. I'll be there all 3 days. I'll be there with the Hellcat swapped Ram as well as the Hellcat swapped Dakota. So if you guys want these tickets, it's pretty simple. You have to follow me here on YouTube. Also be following me here on Instagram. So here's my Instagram account. Make sure you're following over there. And all you have to do is make sure you're actually able to go to the event during that time and somehow you can get there. So make sure you're somewhat close or you have arrangements to be able to get there. Otherwise, please save this opportunity for somebody that can actually attend, because I want these tickets to go to good use. And I'd love for you to come out, meet me, hang out with me. I'll be there all weekend. We can chat, hang out, whatever, watch a bunch of events. So just make sure that you can attend the event is all I ask. So in order to win, you're going to direct message me on Instagram this key phrase that's on the screen. So that's it. It's as simple as that. Just let me know where you're at. Let me know that you can make it that weekend and message me this key phrase and I'll mail you 2 tickets to Mo Party this year. So that's pretty much it. Good luck, you guys. Let's get started on today's video. All right, welcome to today's video, guys. So yes, we are working on the Hellcat swapped Ram 1500 once again. On the last video, this thing was beating me up, you guys. I'm telling you. Just any little stupid thing has just been popping up. Yes, the truck runs and stuff like that, but just all these little nitpicky details just keep popping their heads. So just to recap, the truck was making a screaming noise. I'll insert the clip here. So weird. And everybody that I've sent that to, a lot of people in the industry, they think that it's coming from the transmission, and I agree. On the last video, we also were running into a little bit of issues. When I put the supercharger on, the computer was absolutely freaking out, and we just figured that out this morning. Our buddy Brian over at Diablo Sport, he kind of put 2 and 2 together. When we put the newer blower on, we were running a older Hellcat PCM. So it was running the older software, and 2018 and up Hellcats actually run a 3-bar map sensor. So all the map sensors that were on this new blower were different from the old blower that we removed. And that's why the computer was out to lunch. It was throwing all these codes for barometric pressure. It was running like absolute garbage, and we finally narrowed that down. So we reflashed the computer to accommodate for those different sensors, and now she's back running. I will say, and I don't want to jinx it just yet, but I haven't heard a squeal yet. Like I said, we did run the supercharger without the belt, but if somehow, some way there was a whistle or weird squealing, I haven't heard the squeal yet. Keep your fingers crossed for me, boys. We're just gonna keep plugging away on stuff, and we will just tackle one thing at a time and just deal with things as they come. What I do want to do right now, I'm waiting for the filters to show up. They should arrive today, so I'm hoping to put the new filters in. We got the hydro mats for our tank, so that if the fuel's low, that it'll make sure that there's no fuel starvation issues. So we're gonna install those, and I can put the bed back on. But while I wait for those to arrive, we are going to make the air intake. So I'll link this down below for you guys if you're interested in this. This is a do-it-yourself intake kit. So you can see it's got this huge U, and essentially it's almost like if you're building an exhaust system, you kind of just cut out the different pie shapes, almost like different mandrel bends, and you make your intake up. So it's got all the couplings here, clamps, brackets, our filter, of course. And what my game plan is for this, since it is going to be a custom intake, is the TRX goes up and goes into a big air box that's up here. As you guys know, the factory air box is over here. We do have enough room to be able to bring it all the way over here, but I think it's going to be kind of ugly. So what I'm going to do is I have this huge area underneath our fuse box right there. So it is well, you know, above the frame rail, so it's not like going to be like down near a puddle or anything like that. It's going to be plenty high. But I'm going to route it down to here, and I'm going to put our air filter here. And then probably later when I get some time, I can fabricate a box to shield it a little bit better. But regardless, it's going to be pulling cold air from down here well away from the engine heat. So it will be a functional air intake as well. Plus, it's going to sound amazing. So let me get some of the stuff out of the package. I'm going to start figuring this stuff out, seeing kind of where I want it to go. And then once I make a little bit of progress, I'll show you guys kind of what I'm starting to come up with. We've got the Flowmaster Delta Force Universal Air Intake out of the box, and this is the creativity part, because you can pretty much build anything with this. So you can see here it comes with this huge shape. and it's got all the different flared ends, so where your coupling would go over top, and you essentially just cut it wherever you need it, or like if one of the different shapes happens to work for a certain length, then you just leave it together, cut it where you need, and then you put your coupling or attach it to your filter, however you really need to do it. So what I'm trying to do right now is, rather than just hacking this thing up and cutting every single pie shape, I want to use the least amount of couplings as possible for the cleanest look and just make it overall easier. So I've got my filter down there. I actually threw the fender liner in there just so I kind of knew the space I was working with, and it has a bracket on the velocity stack as well. So essentially I'm trying to play with, like, there's definitely room in here. It's just a matter of, do I want to put it on an angle or try to square it up with the frame or something like that, and then I have to come up with the appropriate bends to go down there. And again, trying to kind of foresee if any of these shapes will work with a certain length. That way I don't have a million couplings to get there. Obviously we're gonna have a coupling coming off our throttle body to here, and then if I can minimize the amount of couplings to get to there, that's the ideal ticket. So I'm gonna keep messing with it. I also have a measuring tape, so I'm kind of just measuring, okay, if I come from here before it starts to do a downturn, it's like about a foot. That's how far I need before the fuse box, like that sort of idea, and come up with something here. So I will update you guys once I start messing with this a little bit more and get a little bit closer. All right, so I think I'm gonna cut it right here, you guys, because this section looks like it's gonna get us pretty dang close. And then if anything, this section from here with this kind of 45 or so, that might work as well. So we're gonna try this because this has a little turn here. I wouldn't, I'm not sure what the degree is on this one here, but then it has the 45, so it's kind of coming down, and we need to go downhill to meet up with our filter down there. And I think what I'm gonna do is, it comes with a bracket there. I think I'm going to end up just tacking that to the frame. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but probably right there on that angle. That way it's not trying to do like some drastic angle at the bottom. It's gonna have a nice smooth path without any like big drastic turns in it, and it'll fit right perfectly there. So I think she's starting to come together. Let me cut this here. I'm just gonna use just a hand saw right here. I could put it in my chop saw, but the blade is like an 1/8 inch thick, so it's pretty much gonna chew up this. I think I'd feel a little more comfortable just doing it manually. It's not like there's that many cuts. Do it manually, just with a saw, and we'll cut it and get it to length. All right, so I think we're on to the next piece of the puzzle, boys. It's working out pretty good. So you can see here, we're gonna come across here, everything clears nicely, ends up right there, and you can see my filter. Hopefully you can see that. Filter is there. I kind of need like almost a 45-ish. Again, this isn't like finalized right here, but somewhere in and around there, but I gotta make that bend. So I think the next piece to this puzzle is this guy right here. I think if we use this is short enough that by the time I put my couplings on here, I think I'll be able to manipulate this to get to the filter. I could use this, but I think this is too much, and it's also too long. So I think this is gonna be the ticket. So I'm gonna cut here, cut there. Almost, if this section wasn't here, probably would have been perfect. Like if that was one section over, I don't think I would have had to cut anything. Probably would have been able to do the whole thing out of one piece, but not a big deal. Cut here, cut there, put our couplings on, and I think we might have it. Okay guys, super happy with how this is turning out. So check it out. Comes all the way through here, down there, and then we've got that one little section, 2 couplings, and everything fits beautifully. We've got our fender liner in here, everything clears. All I'm gonna do is just that little bracket down there. I'm gonna tack it onto the frame. It obviously isn't gonna be much weight, but just enough to keep it in place, and then I can take it off, clean up our cuts, and assemble that, and that should be good. So really happy with how that came out. I really like how it's like squared off. I didn't want it being sitting on some weird angle. It didn't look too official, but it's gonna be pretty good. It's gonna pull cool air. And on the last video you guys saw that we had trimmed out the whole front section of our bumper, so this thing is gonna be just driving all sorts of cool air up into here, and it'll be able to pull from down here as well. So should be pretty decent, boys. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let me get that thing tacked up, and then I'll clean up my cuts, and then I can assemble this for final assembly. So this 4-inch Delta Force intake is available, you guys. You can pretty much make it fit anything. It's universal, fits any vehicle, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. So I'll link this down below for you guys, but let me get this thing finalized. Okay, so I just laid 2 welds here and on the other side as well, just so it doesn't like fold over on itself. But actually my best weld was right here. Getting better, boys. I just started learning last year how to weld, so cut me some slack. But those 2, I don't know if you guys can see them with the light. These ones are looking not too bad, but anyways, I'm gonna tape off just the bottom of this because this thing is stainless, so I'll tape off just the bottom where it meets the frame, dust over that with black just so that our welds don't rust, and then that should be ready to go. Only other thing I have to do is I have to drill a hole for our intake air temperature, so I'll put it over here, probably put it on the back so we don't have to look at it, so that we have a clean looking intake. So I'll drill that hole, put the grommet in the back, clean up all of our piping, and we can reassemble this. Also pretty cool in the kit, it comes with a bracket for a MAF sensor, so if you need to install a MAF sensor in your intake, then you have that. Also, it has a rubber grommet for what we're gonna do, our intake air temperature sensor, and it comes with a bunch of different brackets and stuff. I tried to make it as clean as possible with just the one bracket, but if your intake starts getting a little long and you need more support, it's got all the brackets and L-shaped brackets and all sorts of stuff, along with many additional couplings and reducers and steps and all kinds of stuff so that you can make it work on your vehicle. Okay, so I just cleaned up my ends with sander and just made sure all the little fuzzies and everything were gone, so cleaned up real nice, and then I washed them out so that there's no more debris in them. So now we're ready. I'm gonna put my couplings on with my band clamps, and we are ready for final assembly. Check that out, boys. I'm really liking that. So she is solid on here. It's got the dampening couplings too, because it's kind of got these bellows on it so that it can move, and we're good to go. One last thing is, before we throw this on, I do have one of these Flowmaster socks that I want to put over this. It just keeps the filter a little bit cleaner. It's actually like kind of has like a waterproofing to it, so it doesn't allow water to go through it as well. Let me show you guys that sock, and then we'll put it on this filter, and then we can actually put it on. Here it is here, Delta Force pre-filter wrap. If you guys already have a filter and you want to keep it clean and less maintenance, because you kind of just shake off this instead of having to clean out your actual filter, I'll link these down below as well. Let me get out of the package and we'll throw it on. So there it is installed. It just stretches over, and it's got this elastic band over here. So it keeps your filter clean, and like I said, it kind of lets less elements into the filter. So since it's gonna be a little bit lower, I'm gonna throw one of these on there. We'll pop it on. All right, check that out, you guys. That looks so good. Super happy with how that all came out. It looks very clean in here. And now all that's left to do is see how she sounds, of course. So it's got that velocity stack on there, so I'm sure it's gonna sound similar to the Delta Force that's on the Dakota, which sounds really, really good. Should be able to hear quite a bit of blower alarm whine out of that thing. So loud. Well, let's see. Oh yeah. Let me put that over there so you guys can hear it. The blower is way louder out of that. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear it from here. Sounds so good, you guys. So I'm gonna grab some food. I'll catch you guys in a few minutes here, and then we can finish up what we have to do with the fuel pump and put the bed on. Okay, so we're back, and here is the part. So you can see it's Holley Hydromat. So we got 2 of them because we got 2 pumps, and essentially what these do is, as long as they are dipped some way, somehow in any sort of fuel, it will not starve for fuel. Whereas a regular sock, if it hits a bit of air, it'll just suck up from the air. This thing, you can literally like dip it in the side. There's all sorts of illustrations and demos of these things where as long as something on this sock is touching fuel, it won't airlock. So that's why we're gonna put those in there, just so that since we're not running like a basket per se, if there's any sloshing when it's low on fuel, that way we don't get fuel starvation or anything like that. So I'm gonna go ahead, swing this out of the way, our fuel neck. I guess I gotta disconnect our lines maybe. I'll try to do it without it, but I pretty much gotta take this up and out, swap out the socks, and then put it back down. Okay, so we got one hydro mat on here. Might not look a whole lot different, but trust me, this one, if you start it for fuel, it's starting for fuel. This one, it's got like a membrane in it and it holds fuel inside that sock. So I got one on, pretty easy to install. You just literally push it on, it clips onto the bottom of the pump, and I'm gonna do this one, and then we'll just throw everything back in. Not much to see. You guys already saw the fuel system. If you guys didn't see the fuel system, watch the previous video where we designed all this, and you guys can get caught up to speed there. So everything's back in. That was fairly simple, you guys. So like I said, I'll link those down below if you guys are interested in those fuel socks. And what's left now is to fire it up. I'm sure might have a little bit of an airlock again, just because we obviously had those things out, but we'll double check it, run it for a couple minutes, make sure everything's good, and then if all goes well, then we'll put the bed on. Man, this thing sounds so good with this intake and exhaust, you guys. It's gonna make the Hellcat jealous. So our fuel system's good, and again, I'm gonna keep telling you guys, it has not made the squealing noise since we changed the blower. So keep your fingers crossed, boys. Hopefully by the end of this video, I can confirm that it might have just been the blower the whole time making that crazy squealing noise, which I could have swore when I took the belt off it was still making it, but maybe I was checking for the clatter and the clanking that was coming out of that and not the squeal. I don't know. I'm not even gonna think about it. I'm just gonna keep working. Let's put the bed on. I think I should be able to do this by myself. Aaron did help me take it off, but it was pretty easy using the cherry picker. So I'm gonna try it, and then I think I should be able to just slide it forward. I guess I should probably put this down. And I guess if I'm gonna do all that, I might as well put the other two bolts in our drive shaft. I don't know. We'll probably just run the stock drive shaft for now because I gotta figure out what's going on with that. I can't put our built drive shaft on just yet because the flange that's on there does not fit over top of the nut on the back. So I gotta find out what the guy wants to do with that. So I still gotta talk to him and I'll do that. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead, put the other two bolts on this so that this could potentially be ready to go. And maybe we might be able to test drive this thing tomorrow. So let me actually put the bolts in for this. That way, if I put this on the ground, I don't have to jack it back up again and sneak underneath it. So let me finalize the drive shaft. right, guys, another long day, but we accomplished a lot. So I'm about to wrap it up for tonight, but not the video. So I got the bed back on, rear bumper, the tailgate, the tail lights, lined up our exhaust tips, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of cheated on you guys a little bit. I started it without filming it, but trust me, my reaction every time is gonna be the same because this thing is so insanely loud and just sounds so good. You guys ready? Where is the key? Where is the key? Where is the key? Let me get the key. Okay, we gotta upgrade the key, by the way. This is a pretty lame key. Ready? All right, boys, so it's the next day. I ended up pulling it out just to let it run, heat cycle, all that good stuff.